Hi, this is Les-Levine, the self-proclaimed voice of truth and reason in Ohio sports. I told you yesterday that I wasn't thrilled with the plans that MLB has floated out there about sending all teams out to Arizona and then cramming in the season without fans in the stands. And now that I've had more time to think about it, I think it's an even worse idea than I did yesterday. I'm not a math major, but by putting a couple thousand people together while people are dying by the thousands is a disaster waiting to happen. Toss that on top of the Houston Astros cheating scandal, and you've got the greatest sport ever invented leading to its own demise. The D-Man Dennis-Manoloff is here. More Sports and Les-Levine is on the air. From the worldwide headquarters of More Sports and Les-Levine, it's a Wednesday night. Good evening, everyone. Welcome once again to More Sports and Les-Levine into its 24th consecutive year. Seen exclusively on cleveland.com. The D-Man Dennis-Manoloff is here, jack of all trades and master of all. Hello there, D-Man Dennis-Manoloff. How you doing?
Doing fine, Les, all things considered.
Yeah, that's for sure. Family hanging in okay?
Yes, relatively speaking.
All right, we want to talk Jadeveon Clowney here in a minute, but I also just want to get a quick summary, and we'll talk later about it. The floating out of the proposal about Arizona and baseball. What do you think?
Well, you know, I know you're vehemently opposed to it. My feeling is that I really would like to see baseball and other sports try to do something this year. I just don't think it's a tenable situation for a lot of companies. And in the case of sports, you know, you could consider MLB a company, NFL a company, NBA, and so forth. It's just untenable to me to scratch an entire calendar year's worth of activity. So I would make every effort if I were MLB to try to do this. Now, what you're talking about, what they have proposed with the spring training sites, it certainly does sound difficult, but hopefully there's many more plans that they sift through.
All right, we'll talk about that a little bit later. In the meantime, there's some news out of Seattle about Jadeveon Clowney, and that is that the Seahawks apparently have given up any thoughts of signing him, which bodes well for the Cleveland Browns if they want him, although there's a couple obstacles there. But bodes well for them, however, because, well, for a couple of reasons. Number one, do you want Jadeveon Clowney?
I mean, I'd like the healthy Jadeveon Clowney who blasted the Michigan running back. That would be nice.
Maybe one of the greatest plays of all time, by the way, in a college game.
Yeah, and I'd like the Clowney who flashed incredible performances, or flashed his skill set in Houston. And I know, I was looking at some of the numbers on his performance with the Seahawks this past year. He had meager number of sacks. I think it was 3, but he did have a lot of pressures, or a decent amount of pressures, and he was double teamed. So I think if you get a healthy Jadeveon Clowney, you've got a good player. I don't know, though, that he's worth the risk, especially at his asking price. Last week we were on, Les, and we had talked about how he was looking for 20 last because I was saying it, given his injury history, and sure enough, he, on the sub days his price. So it depends really on what a team is willing to pay, but I think there is a hedge that has to be made because of his injuries.
All right, he's played 6 years in the league. He's only played all 16 games in one of those years. ESPN Seattle host John Clayton, you know him from ESPN, he laid out a reason why there's a holdout in the Browns' pursuit. Number one, it's money. We were talking about $20 million a week ago. He lowered that to $18 million, and I got to believe since there's not that many suitors, he's going to have to lower it again. He did play for $15 million last year. And the Browns still have plenty left on the cap space if they want to get him. That's one thing. Clayton went on to say that his lack of ability for the Browns to get a physical on him and check out his health, That's also a problem. He's played in all 16 games just once, as I mentioned, in his 6 years. He missed 3 games last year due to a core muscle injury, underwent core muscle surgery on February 25th, 2020, and the Browns are unable to currently get him in for a physical, as is the case with all players in the NFL at this particular time. Hey, by the way, do you think the NFL has gone too early on this? The fact that they're obviously cutting down in the spectacle of the draft, but do you think that they could have postponed it for a couple of weeks or months even?
Uh, they could have less, but I'm actually in favor of them trying to keep the 12-month calendar as intact as possible, keep things as on schedule as possible. I'm not averse at all to doing the draft via the virtual reality. I know it hurts Vegas, and I certainly wouldn't want the virtual draft next year when the draft is scheduled to be here. But I think it's in the NFL's best interest to try to stay on schedule, especially because they are a sport that does not begin until the fall.
Right. We've got a couple of mock drafts or some choices for the Browns, or at least some ratings on some of the top players at some of the top positions, which we will get into in a little bit. But if you had your choice, or your druthers here, and I don't think I've ever used the word druthers, by the way, but if you had your druthers, who, if you don't play around trading up, trading down, who would you like to be there in the 10th spot that the Browns would take?
Well, there's no question the Browns need a tackle, preferably a left tackle. But to me, and you and I agree on this, Les, the transcendent player beyond the quarterback position is Isaiah-Simmons, the linebacker from Clemson. So if he somehow is available, and I don't think he will be, but if he were somehow available, I snatch him up in a blink.
Well, number one, he's I've heard more good things about him than I've heard about a linebacker in a long, long time. That's number one. Number two, it's a position that the Browns are in terrible need of. I mean, if you look at the weakest unit that they have, it would be linebacker.
Yes. So my number one on the wish list would be Simmons, but I suspect other teams in the top 10 who are not in the market for quarterbacks are thinking the same thing. So I'm going to say that Simmons is off the board, and that decision has been made for the Browns. They can't get him. By 10, I believe you will have a choice of tackles that is no less than or no fewer than 2 of the stud 4 among Wirfs, Wills, Becton, and I can't remember the 4th guy off the top of my head, but I think it's a pretty easy choice at that point. You pick your preferred tackle at 10. And here's another thing, Les, to remember, especially where Wills is concerned from Alabama. He was protecting Tagliavoa, or Tua Tagliavoa's blind side, which,
yeah, the left
because
side.
Tagliavoa was a lefty, was the right tackle.
Right. So it's a different.
I think that if you were to get a Wills from the right tackle position, and he said, "Hey, I'm the man at right tackle," I think Conklin can slide over to left because Conklin has played left tackle in his football career.
Tell me if you think the same way I do about Becton. Is it possible that he's overly athletic and overly physical like that, and maybe the left tackle doesn't need to be that quick and that physical, and a 40-yard dash for him, it's not as important, I would think, as maybe some other positions. I think he might be too good of a physical specimen.
Yeah, I hear your point. And listen, if I were the Browns, and I know they have their own their own people on staff to make these evaluations, but you have an alumni who retired within the past couple of years by the name, or an alum by the name of Joe Thomas, who was as good a left tackle as we've ever seen in our lifetimes, Les, wear a Browns uniform. I would, hire Joe Thomas as a consultant and say, Joe, I want you to analyze the tape of these 4 guys, and you tell me which one of them is best suited to play the position. I would trust Thomas's input over anybody's.
216-575-0403 is the number to call. Did you know the Ohio Lottery has paid out over $1 billion in winnings over the past 6 months? People are winning in record numbers. Winning is happening all around the state of Ohio. Play an Ohio Lottery game and play it today. You can follow us on Facebook at facebook.com/more-sports-and-les-levine. New content is posted each and every day. We'll come back in a moment. More Sports and Les Levine continues exclusively on cleveland.com.
Bet and watch your favorite games on one of our many HD televisions or visit our sportsbook area. Only at Presque Isle Downs and Casino.
As a kid growing up, my dream was to go to college, play baseball, and get a degree. Coming out of high school, I had two choices. I was accepted into a four-year university, but I decided to come to Tri-C after receiving a scholarship. I got my associate's degree at Tri-C. They transferred all my credits straight into Baldwin-Wallace, so I started at Baldwin-Wallace University as a junior. My name is Tyler Leonard, and I earned my first degree at Tri-C.
The Ohio Lottery Partners in Education program recognizes role model students and teachers from across Ohio. Nominations can now be done completely online. To nominate a deserving teacher or student, go to ohiolottery.com. In the About section, find Partners in Education. There you will find links to the nomination forms. Students kindergarten through 12th grade can be academic all-stars. Teachers can be honored as a Teacher of the Month. The Ohio Lottery Partners in Education, where stars shine.
Birthdays for today. 3 Hall of Famers here. John Havlicek passed away within the last year. Catfish Hunter and Gary Carter, all born on this date. Grant Immunity, 1947. Felix the King Hernandez and Carlos Santana of the Cleveland Indians, all born on the 8th of April. 2020 is our date right now, 216-575-0403. D-Man, I just want to take a minute to thank Kevin Kleps of Crane's Cleveland Business. And he wrote a terrific article about this show in this week's edition, and we appreciate it very much. And I'm not sure I could have written it any better myself or more flattering, so I really appreciate what Kevin wrote today, and so do our great production crew who does such a great job on doing this show. 216-575-0403. The D-Man, Dennis-Manoloff, is with us. All right, I mentioned earlier about Greg Rosenthal of NFL.com. He rated the top 10 quarterbacks. See if you agree with him. And now what he's doing, D-Man, is he's talking about not necessarily what they've done in the past, but what they expect them to do in the future, because there's a couple of omissions here that are glaring omissions. But if you understand the criteria of how he's doing it, I guess maybe you'd understand a little bit better. By unanimous opinion, every list we look at of top quarterbacks, Patrick Mahomes is number 1. According to Greg Rosenthal of NFL.com, Lamar Jackson of the Ravens, number 2. Russell Wilson, 3. Deshaun Watson is 4. Kind of surprised at that. Carson Wentz, Kyler Murray is 6. That's pretty quick for him. Dak Prescott at 7. Aaron Rodgers at 8. Matt Ryan of the Falcons at 9. And Baker Mayfield of the Browns is number 10, which means they left out a couple of guys, Drew Brees and Tom Brady.
Yeah, and Les, let me first say the tackle I forgot was Andrew Thomas of Georgia.
Right.
So that's the 4th of the big 4. But regarding these quarterbacks, you said again, this is projection for the future. It's not like at this moment.
Right. Because even a 40-some-year-old Tom Brady you can't tell me he's not in the top 10.
Right, that's the only way you keep Brady and Breeze off a list such as that, is if you're doing it for the next 5, 7, 9 years.
Right.
Even a Phil Rivers, for as crazy as he can be with his turnovers, or a Jameis Winston. You think about those guys as talented players. In the case of Winston, he's still in his 20s. but Rivers is obviously on the far back end of his career. But there are some guys in there that I disagree with. I don't think Dak Prescott has really proven anything against quality competition to this point in his career. So I don't know how you can automatically say he's going to be good for the next 5, 7, 9 years. I don't know about Wentz because Wentz has not been able to stay healthy. I know he's a popular pick. He's a big name, but his injury history, if we're going to talk about Clowney being banged up, you have to talk about Wentz being banged up. So, I have some issues with some of the guys on there.
All right. But Tom Brady, believe it or not, has moved up on my list. You know why?
Why is that?
He was on the Howard Stern show today. Found out a whole different side of him. He moves up a couple of steps on the ladder as far as I'm concerned. I have a different rating system, apparently. 216-575-0403. I said the other night, I've been saying it all the way through, that it seems that local people here in the media are giving Baker Mayfield worse marks than they gave him as the season ended. As almost everybody is putting him down. I'm saying I don't think he was as bad last year as a lot of people think, because I think he got messed up by the system, by Freddie Kitchens, by a couple of other things, just coaching in general. And I think he got hurt that way. And Greg Rosenthal evaluated him this way. He said the skill set that he possesses as a rookie hasn't crumbled into dust. Expectations, disastrous coaching, indecision, and regrettable ad campaigns left the impression that Mayfield's second season was a disaster. But the numbers and the tape don't agree. He made way more impressive throws than you remember. That's kind of how I feel about it, D-Man. Where do you stand?
I wouldn't go with the way more impressive throws part of it. Listen, I agree that it wasn't all Mayfield. It was a classic combination of problems, from the coaching staff to the line to the game plan to the receivers, to his injuries, whatever he was dealing with. But it was also his ineffectiveness. He just was not good enough. And so I don't agree with the way more impressive throws than we would remember. I remember way too many, speaking of the word way, I remember way too many passes that were high and outside, high and inside, low and inside, low and outside. Too few, relatively speaking, passes that were in the receiver's diamond, in his triangle, with the gloves. And, that was something he was so good at, not only at Oklahoma, but in his first year with the Browns. And it was missing by and large in 2019.
Okay, now Kevin-Stefanski is new to us. We don't know, we haven't figured out yet what he's saying is the truth and what he's saying is something to make you think something otherwise. But there's no school out on him yet, or grades out on him yet. But when he talks about case-keenum and Baker Mayfield, do you think he's telling us the truth when he says Mayfield's your guy, and if you have to go to Keenum, it's a different story? Or do you think that behind the scenes there might be some talk about plan B?
I think it's the former, what you just said, because here's the thing. Stefanski, I'm guessing, okay, can't say for sure because I haven't spoken to the man, but I'm guessing that Stefanski looked at Mayfield coming out of college and said, this guy has a chance to be special, okay? I don't think, and I'm not trying to disrespect him because he's an NFL player and he plays the toughest position in all of sports, quarterback, but I don't think anybody looks at Case-Keenum and goes, this guy has a chance to be special. So Stefanski wants to draw the best out of Mayfield because Mayfield has the highest ceiling. One way he can do that is have Case-Keenum, who thrived in that glorious 2017 season as a Viking with Stefanski. And this is a guy now in Keenum who can convey to Baker, hey, if you do X, Y, and Z or A, B, and C, you're going to see your productivity, your efficiency go through the roof. And so that's where I think Keenum becomes an invaluable part of Baker Mayfield's growth.
216-575-0403 if you want to talk to Dennis Manoloff. Andy Baskin of 92.3 The Fan will be here tomorrow for us. Everybody here knows Alex. You know him from Northeast Factory Direct. He's got East, West, and South, the South location in Macedonia on Freeway Drive. And of course, you want to go to northeastfactorydirect.com. And if you have any questions, Alex is giving you his personal cell phone number, 216-288-1808, if you have any questions for him during these trying times for everybody. We'll take a break. We'll come on back in a moment. The D-Man, Dennis Manoloff. More Sports and Les-Levine continues exclusively on cleveland.com.
Celebrate Nature Stone's 30-year anniversary with a free Nature Stone floor. During 2020, we will be giving away 30 free floors to 30 very lucky customers to say thank you for making Nature Stone the best concrete flooring solution for garages, basements, and more. Call or visit naturestone.com today to register to win, and we'll send you a copy of our new buyer's guide absolutely free. There's no purchase necessary. Winners will be chosen monthly. With over 30 million square feet installed for more than 60,000 customers, it's easy to see why I always say it's not just a floor. Wow, it's Nature Stone.
Got your Ohio Lottery pick 3, I see.
Yup. Those glasses are hip.
Hip? Most people think I'm a square. But what's wrong with that? A box bet can increase your chances of winning. And what is a box? A square. There are so many ways to play. There's coming out the wazoo. Oh, shucks. Look at me yammering on. Put a lid in it, Picky Ricky. Play the Ohio Lottery Pick 3 today.
There are tastes we remember. Every smell brings the happiness of times gone by. Experience this every time you walk into Gallucci's Italian Foods. Whether you need lunch on the go, a catered party, or that perfect blend of wine, meats, and cheeses, Gallucci's has exactly what you're looking for. Straight from Mama's kitchen for old world traditions or original experiences. From the tastes you remember to new flavors you'll never forget. Gallucci's is a tasty branch of your family tree.
When it comes to selling you a mattress, most retailers are handing you a long line of extra steps that drive up costs and create confusion. At the Original Mattress Factory, we simplify the mattress shopping experience by building mattresses and box springs in our own local factories and selling them direct to you. It's short, sweet, and simply makes sense. So experience more than just the mattress store. Experience an original, the Original Mattress Factory.
Time for a How Come Quickie. Hey, D-Man, how come you can signal for a fair catch but not a good catch?
Good call.
Good call. Thank you very much. Thanks for the call. 216-575-0403. Dennis Manoloff is with us. All right, I mentioned a mock draft here. This one by Daniel Jeremiah of NFL.com. He has the Browns drafting Isaiah-Simmons with the 10th pick. Is that a realistic pick for the Browns? Here you see the mock draft, first three you know about. I would think. And the Giants would go for Wirfs out of Iowa, Dolphins, Herbert the quarterback, Chargers, Panthers, Cardinals, Jaguars, and under that scenario, linebacker Isaiah-Simmons is the steal of the draft at the 10th position. Do you see it coming down this way in any way, shape, or form?
Well, I love Daniel Jeremiah, and I'm rooting for Daniel Jeremiah's mock to unfold the way he thinks it's going to. You're obviously assuming the quarterback run will include Herbert out of Oregon, right, and maybe even Jordan Love of Utah State.
And Tua.
Because, Tua's going to go in the top 10, and so, of course, is Burrow. I think it really is going to depend on not only how many quarterbacks squeeze into the top 9 in addition to Burrow and Tua, but also how desperate are certain teams for the tackle position. I was listening to an analyst, for example, today talking about the New York Giants. Well, the Giants, of course, would like to see a guy of the transcendent talent, or so it appears, that Isaiah-Simmons represents. But the Giants would also like to do a good job of protecting their offensive investments in, for example, Saquon Barkley and Daniel Jones. and they could desperately use a tackle. So which direction would a couple of these teams go? Would they put the need for a tackle over the the super freak type talent that is Isaiah-Simmons?
All right. Well, you mentioned some of the guys, the offensive tackle options for the Browns. There you go, the linebacker from Clemson, Isaiah-Simmons, who is the Butkus Award winner, awarded to the nation's best linebacker. And the weakest unit of all of the Cleveland Browns would be the linebacker positions. Let's go over some of these offensive tackle options that you had mentioned earlier. Andrew Thomas is a guy. You got his shirt already with Joe Thomas. You could just put him in. You have to change the number. There you see the numbers on him. He wins the Jacobs Blocking Trophy Award winner in 2019, awarded to the best blocker in each conference. He's a two-time first teamer as an All-SEC in 18 and 19. He's played both tackle spots in his college career. Then you have Tristan-Wirfs out of Iowa, Big Ten Offensive Lineman of the Year, and first team All Big Ten in a 40-yard dash, 4.85. And that's the fastest by a player of 320 pounds or more. Then you have Mekhi Becton. He's the one we talked about earlier, D-Man, with incredible physical skills. 40-yard dash time of 5.1, fastest by a player over 350 pounds. He was the ACC Jacobs Blocking Award winner, which, as we mentioned, the best blocker in each conference. And he primarily played the left tackle position in college. Then you have Jedrick-Wills-Jr., and you take a look at him out of Alabama. 29 career starts at right tackle, allowed only one sack in 771 snaps last season, first team All-SEC in 2019. Then you have this sleeper. Well, remember the Browns had Cleveland Crosby. Now they could get Ezra Cleveland, and he's probably further down the list out of Boise State, two-time first team All-MWC in 18 and 19, 40-yard dash time at 4.9, and played left tackle primarily for his career. So if you didn't think you could get Simmons, which of that group would you just chuck out of there?
I would go with Wirfs because I just think he's as polished as any of the other ones, and I trust Kirk Ferentz. I mean, he's no disrespect to the other coaches of these other guys, but Kirk Ferentz to me is a really good coach, especially when it comes time to prepare players for the next level. And so as long as I got the endorsement from Ferentz, which I'm sure I would get, I would like Wirfs.
It's interesting. It looks like there's so much depth there, you almost can't make a mistake, I would think. I mean, I'd love to have Simmons first, and if not, give me what guy is left out of that group of four. So it'll be interesting to see how that goes.
It really is gonna depend on the preference in the draft room, and hopefully by the time the draft rolls around, the Browns Brain Trust will have talked about each of these major tackle prospects and said, okay, this is how we rank them. And so they go into that 10 spot, and according to the rankings, if the first three are gone, you take the fourth guy. If the first two are gone, you take the third guy.
Right.
It's
almost made for you. It falls into place. Sometimes that happens and you don't get the right guy, but this one looks like they're all pretty even, and it is just a matter of taste. Hey, who do you think, if Roger Goodell does this thing from his home, who gets the honor of booing him, his wife or his kids?
That's a good question, Les, but I want to throw something else in.
Sure.
I saw, there's millions of mocks out there. Well, I saw one that had Jerry Jeudy, the wide receiver of Alabama, being available to the Browns at 10 if they wanted him, okay? And listen, Jerry Jeudy, from what I've been able to read and what I saw bursting through the television the past couple of years at Alabama, is a tremendous wide receiver prospect. And I get it, he's more of a luxury because you do need a tackle, but Jeudy, if he's there, is going to be very tempting, in my opinion, because I have no guarantees about Landry coming back from the hip. I have no guarantees about Beckham coming back from the core. Granted, the odds are in the favor of both of them coming back, but Jerry Jeudy, by many accounts, is going to be a terrific pro. And so I would have to think twice about passing on him if he's there at 10.
Well, I would agree with that, but I haven't seen him in the top 10 in too many of those drafts that you're talking about.
I've seen him right in that neighborhood of, 8 to 15.
Right.
And so, I would sense, because they have Landry and Beckham and have given no indication that they're moving on from either one of them, that Judy's not in their plans. But personally, I like Judy so much that I would consider it if I were the Browns.
216-575-0403 is the number to call. Dennis-Manoloff is with us tomorrow night. It's Andy Baskin. You can explore your interests, find a program, put you on the right path for a bright future. Tri-C offers more than 1,000 courses in over 140 career and technical programs. Go to tri-c.edu to find out more information. We'll get to some voicemails, sports history, and more when we get back. More Sports and Les-Levine continues exclusively on cleveland.com.
As a kid growing up, my dream was to go to college, play baseball, and get a degree. Coming out of high school, I had two choices. I was accepted into a four-year university, but I decided to come to Tri-C after receiving a scholarship. I got my associate's degree at Tri-C. They transferred all my credits straight into Baldwin-Wallace, so I started at Baldwin-Wallace University as a junior. My name is Tyler Leonard, and I earned my first degree at Tri-C.
The Ohio Lottery Partners in Education program recognizes role model students and teachers from across Ohio. Nominations can now be done completely online. To nominate a deserving teacher or student, go to ohiolottery.com. In the About section, find Partners in Education. There you will find links to the nomination forms. Students kindergarten through 12th grade can be academic all-stars. Teachers can be honored as a Teacher of the Month. The Ohio Lottery Partners in Education, where stars shine.
It takes attention to detail. With your local Bryant dealer, you're getting more than just a technician. You're getting someone who pays attention to your needs and the little things that make a big difference. It takes a dealer you can rely on. And to keep your family warm this winter,
here, let me show you how this works.
It takes Bryant.
Bryant, whatever it takes.
And to keep your family comfortable, it takes Smiley One Heating and Cooling. Find them at smiley1.com.
Today in sports history, April 8th, 2001, Tiger Woods wins the Masters. So what else is new? By 2 strokes. Was that long ago? 2001. Mike Bacon, my producer, has something.
You missed one.
What did I miss?
74, Hank Aaron.
All right, can I explain that?
Yeah.
Why I missed it? I didn't officially see it because I'm watching it with my brother and my cousin, and just as the ball was hit, somebody in the room, one of the females in the family, got up and kind of walked in front of the TV at the time, and when we all yelled, she froze. So we didn't actually see it, so I couldn't verify that.
I got another one for you, even better.
What's that?
1975. Watch this. Good, Deb, roll. Crack red.
Gerald Ford enters his final year as President of the United States. Former Teamsters President Jimmy Hoffa is reported missing, and Jack Nicholson is a hit at the box office in One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest. The year is 1975, and our Indians are making baseball history. On April 8th, opening day at Municipal Stadium, Frank Robinson debuts as the player-manager of the Indians. He becomes the first African-American manager in Major League history. Robinson, the manager, decides that Robinson, the player, gives the Indians the best chance of winning, so he puts himself in the opening day lineup.
A Hollywood scriptwriter wouldn't try to put something like this into a movie. And the funniest thing about it, the ironic thing about it, is that before the game, Phil Segui said to Frank, "Hey, one last thought, Skip. Why don't you hit a home run on your first time at bat?"
Robinson takes the advice to heart. In his very first at-bat against the New York Yankees' Doc Medage, Robinson, the player, makes Robinson, the manager, look like a genius.
They had television cameras, they had still cameras, and he literally had to wade through all the cameras get to home plate, and then he hits the home run off Doc Medich. I mean, you talk about a pressure situation and somebody rising to the occasion. That was one of the more dramatic moments.
And when he hit that home run, it was like the skies had opened up and everything was perfect. And though I often been in times before that I knew that that point there was a God up in heaven.
Robinson's homer remains one of the most memorable moments from the Indians' days at Municipal Stadium.
You know, Ted Bonda, who was there at the end, who was the president of the Indians at the time, took a lot of heat for beer night, as well he should have, but he didn't get enough credit for signing Frank Robinson, which he did, which was a controversial move at the time, and he didn't get enough credit for that. So thanks for pulling that stuff out. Rush Snyder, what a great sports writer and what a character he is, and he was there talking about Frank Robinson that day. Thanks, Mike. Thanks for doing that. All right, we've got the voicemail of Truth and Reason. You know about that, and we'll give you the phone number a little bit later. But Steve from Petersburg, Virginia, had this to say on the voicemail of Truth and Reason.
Frost, Petersburg, Virginia. I know the Browns have 4 or 5 tackles to choose from in the draft, but there must be one tackle they like better than the others. Who do you think it is? I mean, I can't believe the Browns like all 4 or 5 of them equally. I just, who do you think that they really want? And do you think they will get them?
Well, generally, Steve, you're not going to have, in the top 10, you're not going to have 5 offensive linemen rated equally. So obviously somebody is there, and they're not giving away. I'd just be guessing. They're not giving away any information that would make us think one way or the other. And they must have somebody, and part of it is that they want the other team to make a pick and leave it more for them to take what's left over. Although in this year, it's not a leftover class. Also, Ron, our friend, also chipped in on the voicemail of Truth and Reason. Let's listen in.
Hi, Les. This is Ron Byer. Hey, Les, take some time out and really think about it. That it took a major event such as the virus to see how much we miss our every springtime Cleveland Sports Times emotions. Normally, right now, we would be thinking, when will it warm up enough to go down to the stadium to see the Indians play? And why are they starting the season off slow again? Or, when will the Cavs be legitimate enough to be competing in the playoffs again? Or, like last year, I can't wait until the Brown season starts so we can experience our first Super Bowl win. Wow, Les, thank goodness for the classic sports channels so we can get our fill of the past sports heroes and reminisce over the past games we remember.
I think
Take
Ron.
care, Les, and keep talking Cleveland sports.
Thank you, Ron. Appreciate it very much. He's right. A lot of things to think about in the sports scene. You don't appreciate it until you lose it, and we've lost it. And interestingly enough, Ron points out the date of March 26th, which was supposed to be opening day. That turned out to be the most beautiful day we've had so far, and there wouldn't be any rainouts or snowouts, at least to this point. Dennis-Manoloff is with us. D-Man, what are you thinking about? We've missed the beginning of the baseball season. We don't know when it's coming back. The draft in the NFL is going to be totally different than anything we've seen before. And of course, I couldn't care less about finishing the regular season of the NBA. Maybe just let the 2 teams, Milwaukee and the Lakers, play it off. I don't know. Do you have any drastic need to have any of that played out?
And the NHL season's concluded, but I think in both cases, the regular season should end where they ended. I don't think there's any reason to pick up. I know the NHL has tight races in their conferences for the final playoff spot. The NBA, not so much. But to me, your regular seasons ended where they ended. You take the top 8 seeds in each conference, you roll with it. And, I think for a 1-year only pandemic exception, I don't see why you can't do a March Madness in July or August with the NBA. And likewise, I get the Stanley Cup playoffs, the thrill of 7-game series. Fine, yeah, but this is not a normal year. So I would do a one and done with the NHL as well.
You're talking about one and done with the NBA also?
Yes. I mean, Les, it makes sense to me for a lot of reasons. One of which is we didn't get our March Madness because the NCAA tournament was canceled. We know that this is an exception. It's not going to be the case when things are back to normal or new normal or semi-normal. We'll go back to the 7-game series. Nobody's saying that this is the solution, but as a one-time only thing, I would rather have NBA playoffs than not. So if you tell me the only way I can have NBA playoffs is one and done, I say sign me up. I mean, imagine what the TV ratings would be for a March Madness style NBA tournament.
You just wonder how in shape these guys are going to be for playoff playing situations. I think that's interesting. I would have thought the other way around. I think Milwaukee and the Lakers each have about a 5.5 game spread over the other teams. I'd just say put them against each other in a 7-game series and give the trophy to one of those two teams. A little different than what you're thinking, but I like yours also.
Well, I hear you, Les, but I would also like to give other teams who are really good teams
Portland.
an opportunity in a playoff, one and done, such as the LA Clippers. I want to see the Clippers get a shot. I want to see even the Rockets with their crazy setup get a shot. The Celtics, the Sixers. I know I'm forgetting some other teams, but
Portland.
I'd like to see some of these quality teams in each conference have at least a look at a championship.
216-575-0403 if you'd like to get in with Dennis Manoloff. You are more than welcome to do that. Northeast Factory Direct, 3 great locations, east, west, and south. And, of course, the website you want to go to first at northeastfactorydirect.com. If you have any questions for Alex in these trying times, give him a call on his cell phone, 216-288-1808. We'll come back in a moment. More sport. Sokolowski's University, and they're closed, obviously, under the rules, but they will be open the first moment they can be. And just great people, great restaurant. Check them out when it gets open, and they deserve the support, no question about that. We'll take a break. We'll come on back in a moment with Dennis Manoloff. More Sports and Les-levine continues exclusively on cleveland.com.
Get Nature Stone for up to half off and never replace your garage flooring again. Cracked, uneven garage floors are dangerous. Thin paints and poly coatings you can do yourself are slippery, peel, and don't correct problems. Why pay for a floor that won't last? Only a professionally installed Nature Stone garage floor is safe and corrects problems that paints can't. And Nature Stone comes with Russell's Promise, our true unconditional warranty. So there are no hidden maintenance costs. Schedule online today at dennis-manoloff.com to qualify for up to half off. Hurry, offer ends April 30th. It's not just a floor. Wow, it's Nature Stone.
When it comes to selling you a mattress, most retailers are handing you a long line of extra steps that drive up costs and create confusion. At the Original Mattress Factory, we simplify the mattress shopping experience by building mattresses and box springs in our own local factories and selling them direct to you. It's short, sweet, and simply makes sense. So experience more than just a mattress store. Experience an original, the Original Mattress Factory.
Presque Isle Downs and Casino has sports betting. Use one of our 50 state-of-the-art Bet America kiosks to place your bet and watch your favorite games on one of our many HD televisions or visit our sportsbook area. Only at Presque Isle Downs and Casino.
Let's take a look at this date in Les-levine history, April 8, 1958. Les sends a letter to Paul Brown to suggest a play. It's a short snap to the blocker for a punt. The blocker would then run the ball to the right side of the line. Brown thanked Les, sent him a letter, thanked him for the suggestion, saying thanks because he had never thought of it before. Paul Brown. Oh, you think he's seen that play before? Come on. All right, we have a question of the day. What do you think of baseball's plan to start the season in Arizona without fans in the park? Danny Harrison says, stupid. That's a pretty quick answer. Have faith that they can do a few weeks of altered spring training in May. Andy Mees says, as much as I enjoy going to Progressive Field to watch the Indians play in beautiful baseball weather, I'm so desperate for any sport to come back, I'll settle for watching exclusively from home, provided MLB gets the approval from the doctors at this time. I have faith they will make the right call, whatever it may be. Rick May says, sounds encouraging, although the social distancing among the players still would have to be addressed. Maybe I'll feel better when I hear Tom Hamilton's voice on the radio. Dennis Davis, if they can settle the details, brilliant. They own the television ratings right now. It gives them a shot at reminding everybody why baseball is such a great game. Then you have Glenn Berger, who says, I don't care for MLB's plans. Let's not rush back into the regular season. Playing games in scorching hot Arizona is not conducive for the players. Teams will lack revenue to pay players if the games are played without fans in the park. MLB and the owners are smart people. Surely they can arrive at a better alternative than this. Kevin Quinby, we're in the middle of a health crisis. We shouldn't be overly concerned with the economy or sports until the health crisis is resolved. Unfortunately, the federal government doesn't see it that way. Gerard Morelli, better than canceling the season. Ted Moon, it's convoluted at best. There's no way to, and heck, D-Man supports this one. However, if they can make it safe, it does show some ingenuity, even with Boris in the mix. It just doesn't seem consistent with where we are at this stage of the pandemic this season. It's a tough call. As much as I love the game, I don't want to see it under those conditions. D-Man, what are you thinking?
Well, I'm a little less stringent than you, Les, because here's the thing. We all acknowledge that the pandemic is of utmost importance. It dwarfs on the priority list sports. Okay, we all get that. But that doesn't mean we can't want to see sports come back at some point. I mean, I don't know how much longer you put everything in a deep freeze and think it's okay. I mean, wrecking the economy is not something that can just be put in a little bottle and say, well, we're not going to do anything for 12 months and everything's going to be fine in month 13 or month 18 or month 19. So I'm looking for ways that MLB can come back or NHL can come back, NBA. And one of the ways I see it with MLB and the other majors is you get everybody on a certain site and you quarantine them for a minimum of 14 days. If you have the testing ability, I get it. We don't know if they have the ability to test all these guys, but you test them along the way. And, anybody that tests positive is obviously out of the mix. But if you're testing negative for 2 consecutive weeks, to me, you should be allowed to play. And in that scenario, I'd try to get some games, even if they're made for TV only. I think that you talk about revenue. There's no doubt that fan revenue, fans coming to the park is a very important part of the economic equation in baseball and any other sport. Yes. But if it means not playing at all, then you're not getting any revenue from anywhere, including the all-important TV. So, in my opinion, even if you make it a made-for-TV event with minimal people watching it in person, it's still worth it.
I've got to believe that there's some kind of insurance that these teams have, or the league, the game itself has. I know they have insurance. This is a minuscule part of it. I know they have insurance for a certain amount of rainouts. They have insurance for catastrophes like, a plane crash. I hate to even bring that up. I got to believe that somebody somewhere envisioned something that would knock out a whole season, and they must have taken care of that financially.
I might have to respectfully disagree with you, Les. I don't know how they could have gotten an insurance coverage of a global pandemic wiping out a season. I don't know how you can recoup that revenue, or you can expect it to be like, okay, if 2020's gone, we're all good for 2021. I think they desperately need to come back in order to recoup some of these losses.
The one part that I take exception on yours is we say test them every 14 days. Let's say Francisco Lindor shows up positive, all right? It's another 14 days. Shows up positive again. You've lost your top player. And I'm picking on him because we all know him, but it could be any of the top players in the league. Let's go to the phones. Let's go to South Carolina. We'll say hi to Ted. Ted, how are you tonight?
Doing well, gentlemen. Good evening.
Good evening.
I've got a quick question for you. You know, we've had some turnover in the commissioners of our three major sports recently, somewhat recently. And I'm wondering, what do you think of the job that Rob Manfred is doing at the moment? You know, he seems to be, well, I'll give you my opinion when you're done. I'd prefer to hear what you have to say.
Let me start. I think that obviously he's looking out for the players. I don't think he understands the game of baseball, nor does he care about the game of baseball, the actual game being played. And I think that he has not. I'm not in favor of the job that he's done. I think he should have never given. Shouldn't have never given clemency, or no, I'm not even sure of the word. The Houston Astros should have. They should have gone the full distance on that instead of granting asylum or whatever they did in that case. What's that?
Well, that's for sure.
Immunity.
Immunity. There you go. That's the word I couldn't think of.
Immunity, right.
Yeah, thank you. What took you so long?
Sorry.
D-Man, how about you? Rob Manfred.
I'm not a fan, Ted, unless I'm not a fan at all. I think he's made a lot of mistakes. I think this harebrained effort to lop minutes off of Major League Baseball games has turned more people against the game than it has, turned people into fans.
Yeah,
I think his handling of the Astros disaster debacle has been ridiculous. And by the way, Les, I know there's a pandemic going on. I get it. But how in the world has Manfred and the crew not figured out what happened with the Boston Red Sox in 2018?
I have no idea. Ted.
What is taking them so long?
I don't get it. Ted, you got about a half minute. Go ahead. What's your thought?
All right. Well, I think that I'm kind of in the same boat as you guys. And for the most part, I just think he's the Jimmy Haslam of commissioners. He listens to too many people. He doesn't get it. Keeps changing on the things. He pays attention to the things he shouldn't pay attention to.
Yeah, I can't imagine that lopping 3 minutes off a game is going to turn people into bigger fans than they are. Ted, thanks so much for all of your support. We appreciate it very much. Voicemail of Truth and Reason. A couple of people used it from Virginia and from Ohio. You can call it any time. We do the show live from 6 until 7 p.m. Eastern Time, but any other time of the day, if you can't get in, 216-200-6650. Call us and leave a message, and we'll use it on the future show. We'll take a break. We're coming back one more time with the D-Man, Dennis-manoloff. More Sports and Les-Levine continues exclusively on cleveland.com.
You love it, always wanted it, and there's never been a better time to get Nature Stone than during our Spring Weather Breaker sale. We're breaking spring sales records with up to half off beautiful Nature Stone garage floors, patios, porches, and more. Correct cracked, uneven concrete that thin paints and poly coatings can't. Every Weather Breaker savings comes with Russell's Promise, our true unconditional warranty, and there are no hidden maintenance costs. Schedule online today at naturestone.com to qualify for up to half off. Hurry, offer ends April 30th. It's not just a floor, wow, it's Nature Stone.
There are tastes we remember. Every smell brings the happiness of times gone by. Experience this every time you walk into Colucci's Italian Foods. Whether you need lunch on the go, a catered party, or that perfect blend of wine, meats, and cheeses, Colucci's has exactly what you're looking for. Straight from Mama's Kitchen for old world traditions or original experiences. From the tastes you remember to new flavors you'll never forget. Colucci's is a tasty branch of your family tree.
The Ohio Lottery Partners in Education program recognizes role model students and teachers from across Ohio. Nominations can now be done completely online. To nominate a deserving teacher or student, go to ohiolottery.com. In the About section, find Partners in Education. There you will find links to the nomination forms. Students, kindergarten through 12th grade, can be academic all-stars. Teachers can be honored as a Teacher of the Month. The Ohio Lottery Partners in Education, where stars shine.
Tomorrow night, it's Andy Baskin from 92.3 The Fan with Baskin and Phelps. You see us from 6 until 7 Eastern Time. That's 6 to 7 p.m. Eastern Time, and you can archive us throughout each day right here on cleveland.com. Also, you can find us on Facebook, facebook.com/more-sports-and-les-levine with new content posted each and every day. I want to mention it again. Our thanks to Kevin Kleps, Crane's Cleveland Business, who wrote a terrific article about this show. We appreciate it very much. If you get a chance, check that out at Crane's Cleveland Business. All right, we got a bunch of quickies, but we're going to save them till tomorrow. The D-Man is here. This is from Joe in Ashtabula. Hi, Les. Just wanted to say how much baseball is missed, but also I miss the Stanley Cup playoffs. It's the best postseason in sports and the hardest trophy to win. And with time to reflect on all of the sports, I think the best time ever was the Indians' run in the mid to late 90s. I shared season tickets with my buddies, and it was just a fun time. Favorite Cleveland sports era ever. Take care. Love the show. Joe in Ashtabula. Hard to argue with that. D-Man, what's your most favorite team that you've either covered or watched as a fan of in Cleveland?
Well, of course, it's going to be the 2016 Cavaliers, the 15-16 Cavs, because they broke the drought, the 52-year dry spell of major championship titles in this town, major sport titles in this town. I didn't think I'd live to see a title. I got that pessimistic. So the 15-16 Cavs will always be number one because they were the ones who finally broke through since, 64. Number two is the 1995 Cleveland Indians. That's we have the 25th anniversary this year. That's the best baseball team that I've ever seen in Cleveland, that I've seen in Cleveland to this point, the most dominant team, and obviously didn't get as close as the 97 and 16 teams to winning a title because they lost in 6 games to the Braves. That 95 team that won 144 in the regular season was an absolute buzzsaw.
Not only did they win 100 and lose 44 on a shortened season, they were never out of a game. A lot of times the team's down by 2 runs, you say, all right, let's go, this isn't going to happen. But they had several games where they came back from double digits. It was a team that, I don't know, you don't want a certain guy to beat you. I don't know who you picked. Albert Bell, you didn't want to beat you, I assume, but there were so many guys up and down the lineup that were just tremendous and all had great years in 95. The 97 team that came so close, I thought was the worst of that run from 94, which also was strike shortened, and we lost the World Series as a result of it. But I thought that the 97 team was from 94 to 01 or 2. I thought the 97 team was the not the worst, but certainly not the best of that run.
I agree. I mean, I think it was 86 and 75 in the regular season. I don't think they played the 162nd game. So you had, it was a magical ride. I mean, clearly that postseason run was magical, including the upset of the mighty Orioles in the 97 ALCS, a year after the Orioles had upset the Indians in the division series.
Isn't that interesting?
That Jacobs Field run by the Indians was incredible. The 94 team was looking good until the strike, but that 95 team was just awesome to watch. And you mentioned, guys like Paul Sorrento were under the radar. Sorrento was going 20-plus bombs, and this was back when, not everybody in the lineup hit 20 homers. You know what I mean?
No question about it.
You had Serrano, Ramirez, Tomey, you had Bell, Lofton, Baerga, Alomar. It was insane and Vizquel, of course. It was insane how good they were. Their comebacks, as great as they were, they delighted in comebacks. So yeah, it was awesome to watch.
I was talking about it, I think last night, that STO, of course, played these the 95 Tony Pena home run game, and then they played the Kenny Lofton scoring from second base, and you forget the first baseman who, the final play of the game was a ground ball to third base and the throw over to first baseman Herbert Perry. Who remembers Herbert Perry from that team?
Well, not only that, Les, it was Alvaro Espinoza throwing across the diamond to Herbert Perry.
I wonder what kind of odds.
Yeah, 95 ALCS.
I wonder what kind of odds you could get to say that ALCS is going to end up with the ground ball to Espinoza, who throws over to Herbert Perry. And that was just after Ruben Amaro Jr. scored from third base on that wild pitch.
Yeah, and you think about that Seattle team. I mean, they had a lot of talent. Griffey, A-Rod, the young A-Rod, Bone Buhner, Edgar Martinez. They were stacked.
All right, that'll do it for us. Great job, as always, by the D-Man. We'll see you next Wednesday night, right? You got it. There you go. Thumbs up for the D-Man, Dennis-manoloff. I'll see you tomorrow with Andy Baskin. Of all the shows I've ever done, this was the most recent.